The village of Omuoma buzzed with life as children played in the dusty streets. Women gathered at the market, and elders sat under the great Irako tree sharing tales of old. In one small mud brick house, Lydia sat on a wooden stool, watching her mother, Mama Ifioma, pound yam with practiced ease. The rhythmic sound of the pestle against the mortar filled the air, but Lydia's mind was elsewhere. Tomorrow, she would be leaving for the city. "You must make us proud, my daughter," Mama Ifioma said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Your uncle, Chief Obiora, has promised to take care of you. He will send you to school and give you a better life. This is an opportunity many girls in this village will never have." Lydia forced a smile. She was excited but also nervous. Life in the city was a mystery to her. Would she truly find the good life her mother spoke of? Would her uncle, whom she barely knew, be kind to her? These questions lingered in her mind, but she dared not voice them. Instead, she held on to the hope that fate had finally smiled on her. Lydia had never left Omuoma before. As the rickety bus sped through unfamiliar roads, she clutched her small bag tightly, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. She had imagined Lagos to be a land of towering buildings and golden opportunities, but nothing could have prepared her for the overwhelming chaos. Cars honked endlessly, traders shouted to attract customers, and people rushed about as if time itself was chasing them. When the bus stopped at the park, Lydia spotted a tall man in flowing agbada waiting for her. It was Chief Obiora, her uncle. He smiled broadly and hugged her, his cologne strong and overpowering. "Welcome to Lagos, my daughter," he said. "Your life will never be the same again." Lydia smiled, reassured by his warmth, unaware that his words carried a meaning far darker than she could have imagined. Lydia's new home was nothing like the small mud brick house she had shared with her mother. Chief Obiora's mansion stood tall with gleaming marble floors, expensive furniture, and chandeliers that sparkled like the stars she used to admire back in the village. Everything about the house screamed wealth, yet something felt strangely cold. Her uncle's wife, Madame Gloria, barely acknowledged her arrival. She glanced at Lydia once, muttered a stiff welcome, and continued scrolling through her phone. The only one who showed any real kindness was Ngozi, their teenage daughter, who offered to show Lydia around. "This place is big, but it can feel lonely," Ngozi whispered as they climbed the stairs. "Just stay out of my mom's way. She doesn't like strangers." That night, as Lydia lay on her soft bed, she realized that despite the luxury around her, she felt uneasy. Something was off, but she couldn't quite place it. Days turned into weeks, and Lydia waited for her uncle to enroll her in school, but each time she asked, he had the same response: "Be patient, my dear. I am working on it." Meanwhile, Madame Gloria ignored her completely, treating her more like a housemaid than a guest. Lydia found herself running errands, cleaning, and even cooking, though the house had hired helps. She wanted to complain, but every time she saw the cold expression on Madame Gloria's face, she swallowed her words. One evening, as she served Chief Obiora his dinner, he smiled at her in a way that made her uncomfortable. His eyes lingered on her longer than necessary, and when his fingers brushed against hers while taking the plate, a chill ran down her spine. Ngozi noticed Lydia's unease. One afternoon, as they sat in her room, Ngozi sighed. "Be careful around my dad," she warned. Lydia frowned. "What do you mean?" Ngozi hesitated before whispering, "Just be careful. You're not the first girl to stay here. Some left mysteriously." Lydia's stomach twisted. "Why would you say that?" Ngozi shrugged, her eyes avoiding Lydia's. "Just don't trust anyone too much." Lydia couldn't shake off the warning. That night, she locked her bedroom door before going to sleep, her heart racing with unspoken fears. One evening, Chief Obiora returned home in an unusually cheerful mood. "Lydia, my dear," he called, "come and keep me company." She hesitated but obeyed. He patted the space beside him on the couch, and when she sat far from him, he laughed. "Why are you shy? Am I not your father's?" His hand rested on her shoulder, lingering. Lydia's stomach churned. She excused herself, But as she walked away, she felt his eyes following her, watching. That night, she could barely sleep. The walls of the grand house felt like they were closing in on her. Lydia tried to talk to Madame Gloria about going to school, hoping that it would get her out of the house more often. But Madame Gloria barely looked at her. "Your uncle will handle it," she said dismissively. Realizing she was on her own, Lydia decided to write a letter to her mother, but when she asked Ngozi how to send it, the girl shook her head. "My mum controls everything in this house. Even letters." Lydia's heart sank. She was trapped. One night, as Lydia was sleeping, she heard a knock at her door. It was soft at first, then more insistent. Fear gripped her chest. She lay still, hoping whoever it was would go away. But then, the door handle turned. She had locked it. The person on the other side sighed and walked away. Lydia's hands trembled. She didn't need to check to know who it was. Days passed, and Lydia tried to avoid being alone in the house. But one evening, Madame Gloria and Ngozi went out, and the house was eerily quiet. Chief Obiora called her to his study. "Come and massage my shoulders," he said, his voice too soft, too sweet. Lydia hesitated. "Uncle, His eyes darkened. "Don't disobey me, girl." Fear paralyzed her. She took small steps towards him, praying that someone would walk in. But no one did. That night, her world shattered. Lydia lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to move. The pain in her body was nothing compared to the pain in her heart. She wanted to scream, to run. But where would she go? The next morning, she avoided Ngozi's questioning gaze. Madame Gloria returned and went about her day as if nothing had happened. And Chief Obiora? He acted as if he had done nothing wrong. Lydia's hands curled into fists. She couldn't stay here. She had to leave. Lydia tried to pretend everything was normal, but inside, she was falling apart. She no longer smiled, barely ate, and jumped at every sound. "Are you okay?" Ngozi asked one afternoon. Lydia forced a nod. If she told the truth, would Ngozi even believe her? As the days passed, she realized something even worse. Chief Obiora was watching her, waiting for another chance. One morning, Lydia woke up feeling weak and nauseous. She ignored it, thinking it was just stress. But the symptoms didn't go away. Weeks later, her body changed. Her dresses felt tighter, and her nausea became unbearable. Fear clawed at her heart. She knew what was happening. She was pregnant. Lydia had no one to turn to except her mother. Summoning courage, she called home. "Mama, I need to come back," she pleaded. "What's wrong?" Mama Ifioma asked. Lydia hesitated. "Uncle, he hurt me." There was silence. Then her mother's voice came, sharp and unforgiving. "Lydia, don't say such things. Do you want to bring disgrace upon us?" Tears streamed down Lydia's face. "Mama, I'm pregnant." The line went dead. Days passed, and her mother didn't call back. Lydia tried again, but her calls went unanswered. When she finally reached a relative, she was told the bitter truth. "Your mother said you have shamed her. She doesn't want you back." Lydia's heart broke into a million pieces. She had no home, no family, no one. With nowhere to go, Lydia wandered the streets one evening, her eyes filled with tears. As she sat on a bench, a woman selling fruits approached her. "My dear, are you okay?" the woman asked kindly. Lydia shook her head, unable to speak. The woman, Mama Beezy, sighed. "Come with me. You need help." For the first time in a long while, Lydia felt a flicker of hope. Lydia followed Mama Beezy hesitantly. She had learned not to trust people, but something about the woman's kind eyes made her take the risk. Mama Beezy led her to a small wooden kiosk filled with fresh fruits, then pointed to a tiny room at the back. "You can sleep here for now," she said. "But tell me, child, what happened to you?" Lydia hesitated before whispering, "I have nowhere to go." Mama Beezy didn't press further. Instead, she handed Lydia a plate of food. "Eat first. We will talk later." For the first time in weeks, Lydia felt warmth in her chest. Someone cared. Lydia spent the next few days helping Mama Beezy sell fruits. It was hard work, but it was better than the suffocating walls of Chief Obiora's house. "You can stay as long as you need," Mama Beezy assured her. Gratitude filled Lydia's heart, but she knew this was only temporary. She was still carrying a secret that would soon become visible. One evening, as they closed the kiosk, Mama Beezy finally asked, "Lydia, you are with child, aren't you?" Tears welled in Lydia's eyes. She nodded, unable to speak. Mama Beezy sighed deeply. "Then we must make a plan, my dear. Running away is not enough." News of Lydia's pregnancy spread through the market. Some traders whispered behind her back, others gave her pitying glances. But the worst came from Mama Beezy's neighbor, Ayakemi. "So, this is the girl you brought into your home," she sneered. "A spoiled child who couldn't control herself." Lydia lowered her head in shame. Mama Beezy turned to Ayakemi, her voice firm. "And what do you know of her story? Don't judge what you do not understand." That night, as Lydia lay on her thin mattress, she wondered if she would ever escape the shame that followed her. Determined to find a solution, Mama Beezy took Lydia to a local women's center. "These people help young girls like you," she explained. Lydia met Madame Esther, a social worker with kind eyes. "My child, you've been through a lot," she said gently. "Would you like us to help you report your uncles?" Lydia hesitated. Reporting Chief Obiora meant bringing everything into the open. Would her mother believe her then? I don't know," she whispered. Madame Esther smiled. "Take your time. But know this, you are not alone." Despite everything, Lydia still longed to hear her mother's voice. One afternoon, she borrowed Mama Beezy's phone and dialed home again. This time, her mother answered. "Mama, please, just listen," Lydia pleaded. "I need you." But Mama Ifeoma's voice was cold. "You have disgraced me, Lydia. Do not call this number again." The line went dead. Lydia stared at the phone, her heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. Days later, Madame Gloria found her. She arrived at the market in her sleek car, stepping out with an air of superiority. "So this is where you ran to," she said, looking Lydia up and down. "Pregnant and selling fruits? How pitiful." Lydia's hands shook. "What do you want?" Madame Gloria smirked. "Chief Obiora is generous. If you come back, we will take care of you and the child." Lydia clenched her fists. She saw the lie behind the woman's words. "Never," she spat. Madame Gloria's eyes turned icy. "Then be ready for war." After Madame Gloria's visit, Lydia felt uneasy. She feared they would come back for her. Mama Beezy noticed her restlessness. "Don't let fear control you," she said. "They have power, but you have truth on your side." Lydia nodded, but deep inside, she knew it wasn't that simple. That night, she lay awake, wondering, was there really a way to fight back? Madame Esther arranged for Lydia to meet a lawyer. "If you want justice, we can help you press charges," she explained. Lydia bit her lip. Was she ready for that battle? Then she thought of other girls like her, girls who might suffer if she stayed silent. She took a deep breath. "I will do it," she said. For the first time in a long while, she felt powerful. Lydia gave her statement at the police station. As she spoke, the pain resurfaced, but she held her head high. Chief Obiora was powerful, but he was not untouchable. "You are brave," Madame Esther told her afterward. Lydia nodded. But was bravery enough to win? News of Lydia's complaint spread quickly. Some people praised her, but others, especially Chief Obiora's friends, called her a liar. One day, Mama Beezy found a note at her stall. "Drop the case or else." Lydia's hands trembled. They were trying to silence her, but she refused to be afraid. Chief Obiora denied everything. "This girl is lying," he told reporters. "She is just looking for money." Lydia clenched her fists as she watched the news. Would the world ever believe someone like her over a rich man? Madame Esther placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Justice takes time. Stay strong." Lydia nodded. She had come too far to turn back now. A surprise witness came forward, Ngozi. "I believe Lydia," she told the authorities. "I saw things in that house." Lydia gasped. She hadn't expected Ngozi to take her side. You don't deserve what happened to you, Ngozi whispered. Lydia hugged her, tears streaming down her face. With Ngozi's testimony, the case gained momentum. Madame Gloria tried to discredit her own daughter, but the public was now watching closely. We will not let this girl's voice be silenced, a women's rights group protested. For the first time, Chief Obiora looked worried. One evening, Mama Ifeoma appeared at the Women's Center. Her face was tired, her eyes filled with shame. I was wrong, she whispered. Can you ever forgive me? Lydia's heart ached. She had longed for this moment, but was it too late? She wiped her tears. Mama, I needed you, but I don't know if I can trust you again. Her mother sobbed. I will earn it. Chief Obiora was arrested. The court case was not easy, but Lydia's bravery, Ngozi's testimony, and Mama Beezy's support helped her win. As the judge pronounced the guilty verdict, Lydia closed her eyes, allowing herself to breathe. She had survived. She had won. After Chief Obiora's conviction, Lydia felt a weight lift from her shoulders, but the scars remained. The nightmares still came, and trust did not return overnight. Mama Beezy noticed her sadness one evening. Justice is not the end of your journey, my child, she said. You must now heal. Lydia sighed. How do I do that? Mama Beezy smiled warmly. By forgiving yourself. You did nothing wrong. Those words stayed with Lydia. She had been blaming herself for too long. Mama Ifeoma visited frequently, trying to rebuild their bond. She brought food, offered to help with Lydia's pregnancy, and apologized over and over. One day, she knelt before Lydia. I was blinded by shame. I should have protected you. Lydia looked at the woman who had once abandoned her. The pain was still fresh, but deep inside, she knew she wanted to forgive. She reached out and took her mother's hands. I don't know how to forget, but I can try to forgive. Tears filled Mama Ifeoma's eyes. It was a step towards healing. Months passed, and Lydia's belly grew rounder. The fear of motherhood crept in. Could she really raise a child after all she had been through? Mama Beezy reassured her. You are stronger than you think. This child is not a mistake. It is a new beginning. Ngozi also visited, bringing baby clothes and teasing Lydia. You're going to be a mother, she grinned. I still can't believe it. Lydia smiled. Maybe this wasn't the life she had planned, but she was determined to make it work. As her due date approached, Lydia decided to step out more. The stares and whispers in the market had lessened, but some people still judged her. She's just a girl with no husband, someone muttered. But Lydia held her head high. She was no longer the frightened girl who had run from Chief Obiora's house. She had fought, survived, and she refused to be ashamed of her story. One stormy night, Lydia's labor pains began. Mama Beezy rushed her to the clinic, holding her hand as she cried out in pain. It hurts. Lydia gasped, gripping the bed. Mama Ifeoma arrived, tears in her eyes. My daughter, I'm here. Hours later, after endless waves of pain, the cries of a newborn filled the room. Lydia looked down at the tiny baby in her arms. It's a girl, the nurse said. Tears spilled down Lydia's cheeks. She had brought life into the world. Days later, friends and supporters gathered for the baby's naming ceremony. Mama Ifeoma placed her hand on the child's head. Your name is Ifeananya, for you were born out of love and strength. Lydia smiled. She will never feel unloved the way I did. She looked around at Mama Beezy, Ngozi, and even her mother. Maybe family was not just about blood. It was about those who stood by you. One afternoon, Lydia received an unexpected visitor, Madame Gloria. She looked smaller, defeated. My husband is in prison. Our family is ruined. Are you happy now? Lydia felt a strange mix of emotions. Once, she had feared this woman. Now, she pitied her. I never wanted revenge, Lydia said. I only wanted justice. Madame Gloria sighed. I was blind, just like your mother was. Lydia nodded. Yes, but people can change if they want to. Lydia decided to take back her education. With Mama Beezy's help, she enrolled in an adult school, determined to finish what had been stolen from her. Ngozi cheered. "You'll be the smartest mother ever." Raising Ifunanya as a single mother was not easy, but Lydia worked hard, balancing her studies and motherhood. Every time she felt tired, she looked at her daughter's tiny face and reminded herself she was building a future worth living for. One day, as she walked past the market, she overheard a young girl crying. "My uncle wants me to go live with him," the girl sobbed. "But I don't want to." Lydia's heart clenched. She saw herself in the girl's fear. She knelt beside her. "You don't have to go if you don't feel safe," she said gently. The girl's mother hesitated, but Lydia's story had been heard far and wide. "Maybe I should listen to her," she murmured. Lydia realized then her story had changed more than just her life. It was saving others too. Years later, Lydia stood before a group of young girls, telling them her story. She had become a counselor, helping victims of abuse find their voices. "Strength is not about where you come from," she said, her voice steady. "It's about what you choose to become." As she stepped down from the stage, Ifunanya ran into her arms. "Mama, I'm proud of you." Lydia hugged her tightly, tears of joy in her eyes. She had survived. She had healed. And now, she was giving others the strength to do the same.